And what does your sign say, Biden? We won't die for your Nazi pals in the Ukraine. US out now. Socialistaction.org. All right. It sounds good, though, but I just don't see the American troops on the Ukrainian soil. And as I mentioned, there's a jet. What's your name, by the way?
Nathan.
Nathan. So it's a
How many miles between, how long they're all over Eastern Europe.
the Russians.
No, the Americans are all over Eastern Europe. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. They're in Poland. They're in all of the Eastern European countries. And they have promised to give Ukraine the right to join even further, right up to the border of Russia.
So do you think that
This is the most powerful military force in the world.
But isn't that the reason why we're free and we don't have to speak neither Russian, nor German, nor Chinese language? I mean, look, I lived in USSR. I mean, seriously, I lived in USSR, okay?
Where?
I lived in USSR. So when it comes to this conflict specifically, I know full well what happens to Crimea. It is just taking over against, you're talking about the agreements? Well, here's the flagrant violation.
Because the coup d'etat,
Where?
which was in Kiev, which was led by the USA.
It wasn't.
They had Nuland there. They had Piat there, the ambassador. You can see in a telephone call where they're setting up the next government for Ukraine. And it's a coincidence, I'm sure. But that's how the government turned out.
So you don't, do you know
so they saw that. And that was a threat they felt to Crimea. And the Russians in Crimea were horrified. And they looked for help.
I see.
You had a referendum. People debate the virtues of it. But everybody says a vast majority of Crimeans were in favor of the Russians doing what they were doing because they felt they were neo-Nazis in the Kiev government.
Do you know anyone in Kiev?
Do I have to know somebody?
No, but do you know? Do you know from the inside what's going on?
I think I've read enough about it.
Well, but I know someone.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a girl that works for me who does some job for me. He lives in Kiev. My mother is from Kiev.
Yeah.
So, and just the opposite is happening over there. It's a flourishing democracy. They have peaceful transfer of power through the elections. I'm sure you believe in elections, free and fair elections, right? That happen in Ukraine.
The corruption in Ukraine is rampant.
Yeah, but what
buy
does?
and sell
Of course it
elections.
is, but
Of course it is.
But it's
Well,
also
does that
in
mean
Russia.
It's a democratic society. If it's totally corrupt, I could list some of the corrupt leadership. You know.
So
right down the lane.
so if that's the reason you think it's okay for Putin to come over, take over Crimea,
Wait, did I? Yeah.
to take over
didn't do it.
Lugansk, Donetsk.
Well, first of all, there are 750,000 people in Donetsk.
Right.
The buses are lining up for them. They'll have to flee to Russia.
They don't. The
They're
Russians
ready to do it. No, to Russia.
to Russia. Why do you have to do that?
Because there are 150,000 Ukrainian troops
This
on the
150.
border of Donbass, ready to attack.
You mean
Who's the
150,000
aggressor?
Russian troops?
No, Ukrainian troops on the border of
But
Donbass.
isn't Lugansk and Donetsk part of sovereign Ukrainian territory? Don't you think so?
They had a right. They had a referendum.
Really?
They were supposed to have a referendum. But the Ukrainian government, according to the Minsk Accords, they were supposed to have a referendum on whether to decide to be autonomous within Ukraine or go to Russia, part of Russia, or be part of the...
Who do you think shot down the Malaysian Boeing?
That's a good question. Do you know?
Yes, of course.
No, you don't.
Of course I do.
remember the first response. We have aerial photos to prove it. That crew didn't know.
No. Okay. All right. So you're protesting again the Ukrainian invasion or potential invasion of its own sovereign parts called Lugansk and
We should
Donetsk?
have had a referendum. Should have been autonomous. But they don't want, even the radical right in Kiev don't even want any kind of autonomy. Ukraine has to rule, period. Countries all over the world have autonomous regions. They do.
You mean occupied by foreign forces killing 14,000 innocent people. Is that what you're for?
Have been bombed and shelled by Ukrainian right-wingers. You ever hear of the Azov Brigade?
Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's a small group, yeah, okay,
It's
so.
called the Wolf Tunnel.
We have our Nazis in America, I mean, so what are we supposed to do?
30,000 torch-lit parade marching through Lvov.
Okay, so.
Oh, so well, 30,000
Yeah, so
torch-lit
it's
parade of Nazis. They came into Kiev in 2014.
But did they actually invade Russia? Did they actually kill innocent Russians over there?
They've killed plenty of Russians in the Donbass. Plenty of Russians.
But it was occupied by Russia right after Crimea,
The Donbass was not occupied.
It was
by
not
Russia.
occupied. I see.
They had military
So
support.
what's your solution then? I mean, you're here protesting. What exactly are you
I'm for
protesting?
a sovereign, independent Ukraine.
Ukraine, awesome. So am I.
Neutral. Neutral.
But it's their choice. It's not.
No, it's not. Did Cuba have the right to put missiles in Cuba in 1962? Yes. They had the perfect right. And JFK was willing to destroy the world to tell them that they couldn't do it. So have a standard. You have a double standard. It's not right for...
But did we occupy Cuba?
We tried. We invaded.
Not exactly, if you're talking about the Bay of Pigs.
Assassinate the leader umpteen times. I gotta hurry.
What's that?
I gotta hurry.
Oh, okay. Your business. Can I have your brochure? What is this?
Yeah.
No tour in Russia. Okay. On Russia. All right. You're NATO out of Ukraine.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Nice talking to you.
Sure. Always.
Say it again.
You're against what the U.S. is doing, right?
We against any war over Ukraine. What U.S., what Russia, what NATO is doing, we oppose all of them.
Alice!
There's nothing good for the people out of this
You know what?
war.
It's not the problem in Ukraine. It's a problem in Germany. The U.S. wants war. Russia against Ukraine so that the U.S. can sanction the pipeline that Russia supplies natural gas to Germany. So if the U.S. sanction, the U.S. wants Russia to invade.
The
So
U.S.
the U.S. can sanction.
and European
the U.S.
imperialists.
wants to control and sanction everything. When they sanction Germany, and Germany cannot get natural gas from Russia, can you imagine? In winter, they all will be cold. What will Germany do? The problem is Germany. The U.S. want to sanction Russia because the U.S. wants Germany to be the ally. You get me? The U.S. try to get as many allies. Now the U.S. wants to